Andy with Nutrient Health and Fitness, and today I want to talk about intermittent fasting. If you're unfamiliar, intermittent fasting is basically just where you have a shorter window that you eat during the day and a longer window where you don't eat. And there's a lot of benefits to be had from intermittent fasting, but it's possible that you're doing it the wrong way. A lot of times when I have someone ask me about intermittent fasting, they're on the overweight or obese side, and more often than not, the thing that I see most people doing is that they're skipping breakfast, maybe even skipping lunch, and having a bigger dinner. But if we actually understand what's happening in the body under that situation and those circumstances, you can start to see how problems are going to emerge. So when someone skips breakfast and they potentially even skip lunch, but they're essentially not eating early throughout the day for the first 4, 5, 6, 7 hours of the day, what you're doing is boosting cortisol. Not just cortisol, you're also boosting things called catecholamines. If you think of dopamine and adrenaline, to keep things simple. And when you boost cortisol and those catecholamines, the dopamine and adrenaline, in the short term, you get an energy boost because those things are meant to motivate you to go get food, to go find energy. So short term, you get energy and all is well, you feel great. The problem comes in the long term. When people are doing that type of intermittent fasting where they're skipping the early meals, bumping up cortisol and catecholamines for hours at a time, for weeks and months at a time. Because what'll happen with chronically elevated levels of cortisol and the catecholamines is instead of it being this kind of feel-good energy, you actually start to lose the benefits from it. And you're telling your body, hey, something's not right. We're in an environment where food and fuel is not plentiful. Ring the alarms. Your body's response to ringing those alarms is to start shutting other things down, like your thyroid, like your sex hormone production, increasing inflammation. So if you find yourself in this situation where you're intermittent fasting, skipping breakfast and lunch, and you feel great, cool, keep with it, but keep in your mind that you'll probably need to shift. And if you're in a situation where you've been doing it for a while and the results just aren't there, or maybe you don't feel so good or the weight's not budging anymore, here's what I want you to think about doing. Research that's out there when it comes to individuals who are overweight or obese and intermittent fasting shows that they actually get a lot bigger benefit by skipping the later meals. So instead of doing this intermittent fasting where you're skipping breakfast and lunch and having a big dinner, you're basically gonna reverse it. You're gonna try to have breakfast, a snack, a bigger lunch, maybe another snack, but then stop eating about 3 to 4 hours before you go to bed. Now, a common thing I hear when I say skipping dinner is most people are worried about going to bed hungry, and that's hard to do. And it will take a couple days, 3, 4, 5 days, maybe even a week or two of transitioning. This is where patience and a plan will come into effect. So let's say right now you eat dinner at 8 o'clock and you're in bed by 10 o'clock. What I would say is don't try to go from eating dinner at 8 to not eating anything after 4 p.m. I would go from 8 to 7 or even 7:30 if you need to. The overall goal is trying to be patient with the progress of your body getting adjusted to eating earlier in the day and having the ultimate goal of trying to get that 3 to 4 hours of fasted time before you go to bed. Again, this really applies to the individuals who are overweight or obese. When it comes to the research that's out there on healthy individuals in intermittent fasting, it really kind of says that it doesn't really matter what you're doing. Me personally, I still feel so much better if I don't eat later in the day. There's a lot that plays into that though, so I have to make sure that I'm getting all of the calories I need and the nutrients I need earlier in the day. I'm a big fan of the phrase, strong convictions loosely held. If I'm starving before I go to bed, I'm gonna allow myself a little bit to eat. To bring it back to the point of this video though, it might be better to take that eating window and move it up earlier in the day. Doing so, you'll allow your body to go to bed fasted without food in your stomach, which means you're going to better be able to recover, heal, and detoxify all the things that your body is trying to do when you're asleep anyways, because it's not worried about digesting a big bolus of food during sleep. There are other benefits that play into this too, like reducing overall inflammation, maybe even improving GERD or gastric reflux that you might have going on. But bottom line, as with most things, you might want to think about shifting the strategies. It doesn't mean that intermittent fasting is not right for you. It doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong, but just think about trying it a different way. I hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.